Thanking the gods that I wasn't Dave's best man and the one having to deal with my friend's nervousness right that second, I paced the hall outside the wedding chapel located inside the hotel, dealing with my own jarring nerves. I'm sure those who saw me wondered why I was anxious. I wasn't the one getting married, after all. I won't lie. A part of me was strung tight in anticipation for the event on Dave's behalf. He and I had been friends since birth, and this was a big deal for him. We had gone through every life-changing event imaginable together, but this one was a big one, and with all of the upheaval surrounding it, I was terrified something would go wrong at the last minute. I had heard of little else but Dave's plans to marry his bride-to-be since he met Danielle a little over 4 years ago. Not that I minded listening to my friend's happy chatter. I was ecstatic for the man. If anyone deserved happiness, it was him, and Danielle was a sweet girl. A bit shy and bony for my taste, but her mellow, easygoing yet confident temperament was a relief in comparison to other women we knew. Most women in our pack were weak and submissive in the extreme. Danielle's demeanor probably had to do with the fact that her parents were raising her and her siblings outside of pack territory, and not under the strict rules of the council, of tradition, and of the supernatural world in general. By we, I mean the males of our world, have a tendency to be overprotective and misogynistic. Most of this has to do with the fact that our men outnumber the women 4 to 1 in most species. In the past, those numbers were even higher, but in the last 100 years or so, they've evened out. Some of our women are taking on more roles in our world, but a lot of our older men still treat them as if they should be locked up in their homes birthing babies and nothing else. And without question, the women submit to their will. Thinking of Danielle's differences turned my thoughts to why she was different, and to why she lived in the human world and not in the supernatural one, and thinking of that person brought on an entirely new wave of nerves as I anticipated seeing that particular female again, which made me pace faster. She was the real reason my wolf was about to jump out of my human skin, if the truth be told. Danielle's sister Leigh was human, voluptuous, delectable, and if I had my say, would be mine before the night was over. Despite the need for her coursing through my veins, the mere thought of her put me on edge. The jitters didn't necessarily come from the way I felt about her, but from the way the rest of my pack felt about humans. Every conversation I had, or had overheard the 2 days we were all at the hotel, revolved around how angry, revolted, annoyed the person or persons were that she was there. I kept my mouth shut for fear of causing the poor woman and her family any more trouble, but I had a hard time doing so. My family and pack weren't mean people to each other, but to outsiders they could be outright vicious. The council trained them to be. To survive in our pack, you had to hate anyone who wasn't pack, or the council would be displeased, and it was dangerous to go against the council. I had only caught a few glimpses of Leigh over the last year as Danielle's and Dave's families planned the wedding. For reasons that pissed me off, a fact I had voiced many times to Dave but to no one else, Dave's family had insisted that Leigh not be in the wedding. The pack council had insisted that she not be there at all. Danielle fluctuated between begging them to let her come and threatening to leave the pack if they didn't. Her persistence made them come to a compromise to allow her to come to the actual event, as long as she stayed in the shadows. Up until then, her family had had to make excuses and be downright mean to their eldest daughter to keep her out of the preparations in town as much as possible. I could tell that this had hurt Leigh, but at the same time relieved her. She seemed to want to be on the outside of things. I had an idea why, and that pissed me off more. She didn't see herself as worthy or beautiful enough to stand up in the front of the chapel with her sister and all of the rest of the women in the wedding party. That view of herself came from the snide comments pack members have made in their vicinity over the years. Shapeshifter genetics and metabolisms ensure that most shapeshifters keep a fairly trim and muscular figure. That doesn't, however, mean that every one of our kind is physically beautiful or good-looking. In many cases, their personalities make them hideous, despite their outward appearance. Everything about Leigh was beautiful. Anyone who could smile through all of what she has to deal with has to have a strong soul. Anyone who could love their family after all said family has put her through has to have a beautiful heart.